Rome, the beating heart of the ancient world. A republic built on laws, tradition, and the belief that no man, no matter how powerful, should ever become a king. And yet, on a warm spring morning in 44 BC, that belief was shattered in a storm of blades. In the theater of Pompey, a group of senators, men Caesar once called friends, closed in around him. They raised their daggers, and with the final strike, they changed the course of Western civilization forever. This is the untold story of a political genius, a military titan, and the conspiracy that ended his life. This is the assassination of Julius Caesar, the killing that changed history. To understand why Caesar died, we must first understand why he became dangerous. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC into a noble family with a fading name and very little money. Rome, at the time, was not a peaceful republic. It was a cauldron of corruption, rivalry, and violence. Political factions fought with gangs in the streets. Elections were bought. Armies swore loyalty not to the state, but to generals. Arm-marked Jesus saw this world and decided he would rise above it. But first, he almost lost everything. At 19 years old, during a political purge, Caesar was ordered to divorce his wife. He refused a bold act that nearly cost him his life. He fled the city, hiding from assassins, but returned when politics shifted again. This defiant streak, this refusal to bow, would define the man Rome would come to fear. Soon, Caesar rose through the ranks as a lawyer known for fiery speeches, as a priest, as a military officer. He served in Asia Minor, where he showed courage bordering on reckless. And then, in a story that would become legend, Caesar was kidnapped by pirates. Even as their prisoner, he acted like their ruler. He demanded they raise his ransom. He joked with them. He promised repeatedly that once he was free, he would return and crucify them. They laughed. He wasn't joking. When the ransom was paid, Caesar raised a fleet, hunted them down, and executed every one of them. Rome whispered his name, a man of charm, of ambition, and of terrifying resolve. By the time Caesar became governor of Gaul in 58 BC, he was already known, but what happened next made him immortal. Gaul, modern-day France, Belgium, and parts of Switzerland, was a patchwork of tribes. Caesar, hungry for glory, saw opportunity. Over the next 8 years, he waged one of the most brutal and brilliant campaigns in ancient history. He defeated tribe after tribe. He crossed rivers no Roman had crossed. He marched through mountains no Roman had dared. He led from the front in rain, in snow, in hand-to-hand combat. Through strategy, negotiation, and relentless warfare, Caesar brought all of Gaul under Roman control. Millions lived or died by his decisions. Cities burned. Hundreds of thousands were taken as slaves. Yet Caesar's men loved him. He shared their hardships. He rewarded them richly. He remembered their names. He also wrote commentaries on the Gallic War, turning his military victories into political propaganda that every Roman could read. He became the most popular man in Rome, and that made him the most dangerous, because back in the capital, politicians trembled, including one man in particular, Pompey the Great, Caesar's former ally, now his rival. Their partnership collapsed. Accusations flew. Factions split. Rome braced for conflict. The Senate demanded Caesar surrender his army. And in 49 BC at the river Rubicon, he made a choice that would echo through history. On a cold January night, Caesar stood at the edge of the Rubicon, the boundary he was forbidden to cross with his army. Crossing meant treason, rebellion, civil war. His officers watched him. His men waited. Caesar whispered the words that changed Rome forever. Aleac daest. The die is cast. He crossed the river. Rome fell into chaos. Pompey fled to Greece. Senators scattered. The city braced for bloodshed, but Caesar marched in peacefully. He seized the treasury, restored order, and pursued Pompey across the Mediterranean. At the Battle of Pharsalus, Caesar defeated him. Pompey fled to Egypt, seeking refuge, but the Egyptians, hoping to impress Caesar, murdered him. They presented Caesar with Pompey's severed head. Caesar wept. Pompey had been his friend, his son-in-law once. But power leaves no room for sentiment. Caesar became the most powerful man in the world. By 46 BC, Julius Caesar returned to Rome as its unquestioned ruler. He was appointed dictator first for 10 years, then for life. To many Romans, this was a betrayal of everything the Republic stood for. The Romans despised kings. Their entire identity was built on the belief that no single man should ever have total power. But Caesar was not a simple tyrant. He wanted to rebuild Rome. He cancelled debts, created jobs, expanded citizenship, reformed the calendar into the version we still use today, the Julian calendar. With every reform, every appointment, every victory, Caesar gathered more power. He sat in a golden chair. He wore the purple of kings. He placed his statue among the gods. To many senators, Caesar looked less like a leader and more like a monarch. Whispers of assassination grew louder. In the shadows of Rome's temples and villas, a plot began to form. The conspirators were not madmen, not rebels, not outcasts. They were senators, generals, aristocrats, the guardians of tradition, men who believed Caesar had grown too powerful that he threatened the Republic itself. The conspiracy had two leaders, Gaius Cassius, Longinus ambitious, angry, resentful, and Marcus Junius Brutus, the moral centerpiece of the plot. Brutus was not just any senator. He was a descendant of Lucius Junius Brutus, the man who had overthrown Rome's last king centuries earlier. To many Romans, Brutus carried symbolic weight. Caesar trusted him. They shared political ties. Some claimed Caesar saw him as a son. This made his betrayal all the more tragic and all the more powerful. The conspirators believed that if Brutus joined them, the people would accept Caesar's death. So they approached him, slowly, carefully, whispering fears of tyranny, appealing to his duty as a Roman. Brutus resisted at first, but fate was moving, and the Republic in his eyes needed saving. He accepted. The final number of conspirators reached around 60. The stage was set. The chosen day was March 15th, 44 BC, the Ides of March, but Caesar almost didn't go to the meeting. His wife, Calpurnia, woke terrified from nightmares. She begged him not to leave their home. She had seen blood, daggers, and Caesar's statue pouring with red. Even Caesar, a man of iron, hesitated. But ambition and pride overruled fear. Outside, one of the conspirators arrived, insisting he attend the Senate session in the theater of Pompey. The Senate house was being renovated, so the meeting was held in a temporary location lined with statues, including one of Pompey, Caesar's defeated rival. A chilling backdrop for what was to come. Caesar arrives, senators rise, the room falls silent. A man approaches him with a petition. Caesar waves him off. The man grabs Caesar's toga, pulling it down from his shoulders. It is the signal. Suddenly, a flash of metal. The first blow is struck from behind, a wild, clumsy stab that grazes him. Caesar spins, shocked, furious. What is this? More daggers appear. There is shouting, chaos, a half-circle closing around him. Cassius lunges, Cassius lashes, steel flashes in the torchlight. Then Caesar sees him, Brutus. The man he trusted, the man he pardoned, the man he believed stood for Rome's future. There is no dramatic whisper of, "Et tu, Brute?" That line belongs to Shakespeare. But ancient sources agree Caesar stops fighting when he sees Brutus. His strength leaves him, his will collapses. He pulls his toga over his head, so he will not see the final blows. The conspirators stab him 23 times. He falls at the base of Pompey's statue, his blood splattering the marble feet of the man he once defeated. Roman history had come full circle. Julius Caesar, conqueror of Gaul, master of Rome, lies dead on the floor of the Senate. The conspirators believed Rome would rejoice, that they would walk the streets as liberators, heroes. They were wrong. Instead of cheers, there was silence, fear, whispers of civil war. The people of Rome loved Caesar. He fed them, employed them, entertained them. He forgave enemies and rewarded allies. And now he was dead, killed, not by foreign enemies, but by Rome's own leaders. The conspirators had miscalculated. They had removed the man, but not his power. That power would soon fall into the hands of someone else, a teenager, a boy Caesar had adopted in his will. His name was Gaius Octavius. The future Augustus, first emperor of Rome. Before Octavian could act, another man seized the moment, Mark Antony, Caesar's loyal friend and lieutenant. Antony delivered one of the most famous speeches in history, not Shakespeare's version, but a real Roman masterpiece of persuasion. He did not attack the conspirators directly. He simply reminded the people who Caesar was, what he had given them, how he had loved Rome. Then he revealed Caesar's will to the crowd. Caesar left money to every Roman citizen. He left gardens and parks to the city. He thought of them even in death. The crowd erupted. Rage replaced fear. They burned benches, tore down buildings, and formed a mob. The conspirators fled for their lives. The republic they claimed to save was collapsing. In the years that followed, Rome descended into chaos, exactly what the conspirators tried to prevent. Mark Antony and Octavian formed an uneasy alliance to hunt down Brutus, Cassius, and the others. They unleashed proscriptions, lists of enemies to be executed. Blood filled the streets as Rome purged itself. Brutus and Cassius fled east, raising armies, but were defeated at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC. Each committed suicide, their dream of restoring the republic dying with them. Antony and Octavian eventually turned on each other. Their rivalry shattered the last remnants of the republic. At the Battle of Actium in 31 BC, Octavian triumphed. Antony and Cleopatra took their own lives. Rome was exhausted, bleeding, leaderless, and the Senate granted Octavian absolute power. He took a new name, Augustus. Rome was no longer a republic, it was an empire, all because Caesar died. So what truly motivated the killers of Caesar? Fear, yes. Pride, certainly. But deeper than that, they believed that Rome's ancient system, a system built on checks, balances, and shared power, was being crushed under one man's ambition. Caesar challenged tradition. He challenged the nobility. He challenged the very idea of the republic. The conspirators saw themselves as saviors. But history shows they were wrong. Their act did not restore freedom. It paved the way for emperors. Their daggers did not protect Rome. They ended the republic. There are moments in history where violence reshapes the world. This was one of them. Julius Caesar lived as a soldier, ruled as a politician, and died as a symbol. His death is more than a murder, more than a conspiracy, more than a tragedy. It is the turning point between two eras, from a chaotic republic to a powerful empire. He conquered Gaul, defeated rivals, reshaped Rome. And even in death, he changed the destiny of Western civilization. The Ides of March ended a life, but began an empire. And long after the conspirators' names faded, long after Rome rose and fell, one truth remains: no one killed Caesar to save Rome. They killed him and created something far more powerful than they ever imagined. Fade out. Music ends.